special episode of the Nirvana Experience. So, for the long time listeners, people who've been listening to TNE, couple of seasons ago, I think like in the first or the second season, I did an episode where I covered sex trafficking, how to watch it for grooming, for like adults grooming children and all that type of shit. So, anybody that's like been on the internet lately, know about the Quiet on the Set documentary about Dan Schneider mistreatment towards women, and Schneider himself and one of his friends doing sexually um advanced movement towards the kids on the set, showing favoritism, having the kids to rewind them. I mean, to having the kids to massage them. And with that being said, bro, I ain't even saying a lot. We finna get straight into it because I got a couple key points. I watched. It's a 3-part episode. So for the next 2 weeks, I'm gonna be covering the documentary. So I didn't make it to the episode 2 when Drake Bell from Drake and Josh and Amanda Show came out and talked about his experience working with Dan Schneider, or I didn't get into the interview that Dan Schneider himself had addressing these allegations that he just recorded a couple days ago. It's 19 minutes long, so yeah, so we're gonna get into it. Let me share this screen because we gotta get this shit started because this shit is fucking crazy, bro. And I really don't. I just when it come down to kids and doing shit with kids and shit for, I hate that shit. Like sexually advancing yourself on kids and mistreatment of women in the workplace. That shit green to hell. Like I don't like none of that shit. So right now we're gonna start with we're gonna start at 153. So right here, this would be basically the introduction to the interview. So let's get this shit started.
I will warn you, if you were a child of the 90s, this is going to ruin that for you.
What do we really know about Dan Schneider?
For decades, Dan seemed like he was untouchable. But around 2017, the internet videos around Dan really started gaining momentum.
He made them do things that were very weird.
There are all these setups that reference porn.
So I remember back in the day when the allegations first started coming out, but I was like, man, these folks just making up shit. I thought it was just all part of the Me Too movement. They just trying to like assassinate another man's character and shit like that. But nah, as I watched this documentary, like a lot of shit came out, bro.
Like squirting goo on Jamie Lynn's face when she's just 13 years old.
Feel these kids' feet. Wow, they're really soft.
People were looking back at old scenes and saying, Dan Schneider is obsessed with feet. Check this out.
It's all very gross and foul
Impossible to escape children's feet.
Dan Schneider.
Absolutely disgusting.
He's a grown-ass man. What the are you doing?
So in a little montage they just showed just now, they showed Ariana Grande from Victorious, Jeanette McCurdy from iCarly, who was Samuel iCarly. They was like licking their own feet and putting their feet in their mouth and like doing all types of sexual shit. That's what they just showed.
There's one video of Ariana Grande making a joke about a potato.
Sometimes I wonder if you can get juice from a potato.
Did that air on Nickelodeon?
Come on, give up the juice.
Yikes.
I'm thirsty.
In another video, Ariana's pouring water on herself in what seems like a very sexual manner. And people started saying, this feels inappropriate for children.
She basically pouring water on herself upside down, laying in the bed, and it's supposed to be like imitating cum shots and shit. But my whole question, like when it come down to this shit like this, I understand that the parents want their kids to be stars and they make all this money and they pay for the bills for the family and shit. But why do you folks didn't step up and speak on their kids' behalf, bro, and like get shit done? like, bruh, what the fuck was the mom and dad and the parents and shit at? And from my understanding, I watched one part in the in the documentary where it was like it was a law where the parents have to be on set. So that means if they going through all this shit, the parents have to see some of this shit that's going on. They had to.
Looking at Dan Schneider's stars, some of them became extremely famous.
Amanda.
Some of them really struggled publicly.
After her arrest last week.
Now, some of them are starting to speak out about what happened when they were on his sets.
I worked with an incredibly emotionally abusive producer.
I did not feel safe around Dan Schneider while I was working at Nickelodeon.
All of this information has made us wonder what was happening behind the scenes.
As a reporter at Insider, I wanted to investigate further.
I've been waiting for someone to question the climate.
Giovanni Samuel, she was on all that back in the day. Black girl.
I didn't feel safe to say, this hurt me.
The bad just doesn't go away. The bad stays for a lifetime.
It was a toxic, unsafe environment.
I can't sit on it anymore. I can't watch it continue.
I want people to be accountable.
I've been waiting 17 years for today.
So, with all that being said, bro, these folks got it's on HBO Max just in case people want to watch it. It's called Quiet on the Set. So, bro, with all that being said, these child actors going through all that shit, and I don't know if y'all notice, people who listening. If you look at child stars, and you see how they be when they transition into being an adult, they have problems because of stuff they endured entertaining us growing up. Primary example is Amanda Bynes and Orlando Brown. Amanda Bynes, she lost her fucking mind. She went batshit crazy after her relationship with Dan Schneider went down the hill. She right now, as of lately, I've been seeing her on social media saying that, she applying, she trying to get her what it is, her nail license or some shit like that. And I remember at one point Amanda was everywhere. I remember being a kid actually loving the Amanda show. I ain't too much watch all that like that, but I used to watch the shit out of the Amanda show and Drake and Josh, and I used to love Amanda. And I used to love watching her on What I Like About You with her and Jenny Garth. As a matter of fact, when HBO Max first launched back in the day, 2020, 2021, they had What I Like About You on there, and I watched all the episodes. It's 4 or 5 seasons. I watched all them because Amanda was in it. She was one of my favorite childhood actresses. And to see behind the scenes on how she turned out with her and with Orlando. So now with this coming out this, stuff that Orlando Brown say ain't really too far-fetched. It really ain't too far-fetched. So I was watching this joint, and it's a kid that was on all that. Like I said, I never watched all that like that. So it's a black kid. His name Leon Frierson or something like that. So it was a segment where they created. He supposed to have big nose and shit, right? With the big nose and shit, the nose they gave him a prosthetic nose to put on his face. But the nose that they had on his shoulder pad, on his shoulder pads of the outfit, was basically a big black dick with balls on both sides. And he did something where he sneezed, and it's supposed for the kids watching, they'll think that it's just a bunch of snot fell on that person. But the grown people behind the scenes watching this shit, it ain't nothing but a big cum shot. It is that's what it is. It sounds crazy.
Body and in your brain.
On all that, what really made me feel the most uncomfortable were the leotards. I mean, I was just a growing boy trying to, fit into my body, and it was just out there for everyone to kind of look at and judge me, or, I just felt very exposed. So one week we get a script. There's a new character for me on all that named Noseboy.
That was his name, Noseboy.
I'm in a superhero costume, which is just tights and underwear. What was different about this, they gave me a prosthetic nose, an enlarged nose, and they put this same nose on the costume.
I Captain Victor!
Bro, if y'all actually can see this this costume this kid got on when he was a kid, this man got on when he was a kid. I don't see how that shit flew under the radar like that. That nigga literally got dicks on his shoulders.
What are your special powers?
You can't help but notice that it looks like penis and testicles on my shoulders.
Oh, hell no.
This is a child playing this role, and he's playing it for other children. His audience is kids as young as 6.
I'm allergic to asteroids.
And the joke in that sketch is effectively a shot joke. It's a shot joke for children.
Bro. And then like I said, they portrayed it on the show where like he sneezed and it came out his nose, like since his nose so big, a lot of that stuff came out. But the way it looked, bro, like the lady just said, it's a cum shot joke for kids, which is fucking crazy. And I feel sorry for kids and people in general who have to deal with being fucking taken advantage of like that and deal with predators and all the time. You gotta realize these 4 kids, like these are real deal children, bro. Actually, like I was talking to Carl earlier today, and I was telling him that I'm finna cover this story on TNE. And he was like, what's the point of kids watching TV? He was like, what's the point of kid actors? And I was like, kids watch kids because they be entertained with it. And he was like, why they just want to go outside and play? And I told bro, like, kids don't go outside and play all day. He was like, for grown folk be getting off to this shit. He was like, these folk, and it ain't no reason for kids to be watching TV and all that type of shit and watching kids on, and then he was like, cause it's really exploiting the kids and they working. He was like, what? Kids gotta work and all that type of shit. And I didn't even think about it like that until he said something. And I'm like, damn. I'm like, bruh, sure is right. But like I told him, I watched Barney growing up and it had kids on it. I used to love watching Barney. And he was like, but they didn't teach me shit. He was like, Barney didn't teach you how to share. You learn how to share by going to school and sharing with kids. Barney didn't teach you how to clean up. You listen to your mama and your mama told you to clean up, which is all true. But the entertainment aspect of Barney and all that type of shit, I used to love that shit. So it's a audience for, it's a way to make kids TV shows for kids and children and shit like that without people being predators. They just choose not to do that shit. So I was watching Quiet on the Set. Then one part like stuck out to me the most. Like, well, not the most, but like in particular, when you a teenager, it's one of the things that Michael Jackson, well, I'm gonna just say Michael Jackson, but like all kid stars deal with. When you become famous as a little kid, people be like, "Oh, you so cute" and all that type of shit, type shit. But then you end up growing up, and you start going through puberty, and you ain't that same cute kid no more. And one of the actresses, Katrina Johnson, she was talking about how the executives at Nickelodeon called her and told her that she getting too fat. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, they for real they do that shit, and kids remember shit like that. I'm finna let it play.
One day, the producers called my house and spoke to my parents and said, "Hey, Katrina's getting too fat. We already have a fat one. She can't be the fat one."
Bruh, listen how they talk. They already got a fat one. They can't have another fat one. And they talk about Lorianne Beth, the big girl who was on all that, and then she eventually ended up being on the Steve Harvey show. But bruh, they don't even refer to these folks as the human. They call her the fat one, bruh. Like, that shit green, bruh. That shit fucked up.
Well, she's a dancer. She's in dance class like 6 hours a day. There's nothing more we can do. I mean, that stuck with me. You can't be the fat one. Like, I still hear those words in my head to this day. And it's funny because shortly after that call, I went through puberty. And then the producers freak out because now I look like a woman and I'm not little girlish anymore. So then that became an issue. And then after that, I'm sort of like edged out.
And that's what I was just sitting here saying. I was just sitting here saying that when you a kid star and then you start going through puberty and you don't look like the kid no more, and you start growing into your teenage body and eventually going into your adult body, the public look at you different because you ain't that same cute kid no more. And folks take advantage of that, or they make their kid feel bad for doing something that's natural that everybody do, that everybody went through. So just like Katrina, she went through puberty and started developing like breasts and all that type of shit. They said she wasn't too kid and shit like that. So not too long after that part of the documentary, they started talking about how they discovered Amanda. And they were showing home video of Amanda when she was like 19 years old at the Lab Factory. It's a comedy club. And this before she even knew Dan Schneider, Nickelodeon, anything. She was just at a comedy show making jokes. And when I looked at it, I ain't a lot. I laughed and come like, why she doing her arms and legs like that? Because Amanda, what made me like Amanda Bynes, bro, she just don't do regular kid type shit. The jokes that she do be like with her body. She one of them physical comedians and shit. And that's what make her funny to me. And I was watching it, and a part that I want to talk about kind of caught my attention because there's a part where they were talking about the kids and how the kids had to go to school. Yeah, how the kids had to go to school every day. And Amanda went on the set one day. Like it be times where Amanda like be gone with the Dan Schneider dude while the other kids at school, and she right about the same age, if not younger than them. I'm gonna play it.
Your nose, but that was a really kick-ass routine, and it was.
She talking about Amanda
flawless.
comedy show.
Dan saw her and like immediately knew she'd be a star.
Over the 90s, Dan's star is rising at Nickelodeon, but what takes him to the next level is when he discovers Amanda Bynes. And he recognizes her talent and he wants her on All That immediately.
Hi, everyone. It's me, Amanda.
Amanda was absolutely natural. Her timing was impeccable, very physical.
Then when a bully picked on me at school, I discovered that music could be used as self-defense.
Oh, well, how?
Another thing I peeped out, this clip of All That when Amanda and Kel Mitchell, they got this man, I guess he's supposed to be Oprah, and he got he dressed in all women clothes, got a wig on, and all that type of lipstick on and everything. They were doing it to young black boys even back then, which is fucking crazy, bro.
We had to go to school on set.
How many hours you gotta go to school? How many hours? 3? A day. Appreciate it. I want to talk to the teacher. Okay.
And so there would be times where Amanda would just be missing. And a lot of times we would just hear that she would be with Dan, pitching ideas and writing. We seen them grow closer to each other on set.
So, how's Leon falling into play in this scene? Leon is the man. See what we're doing here?
And why is she the one that's not going to school and with this man, this grown ass man, every day? They talking about they getting closer and closer and closer. It's a certain type of relationship that adults supposed to have with children. It's okay to get close to kids, but you got to remember the power dynamic between adults and children already is what it is. Because kids are kids, they don't know any better. So while they'll think that you get close to them because you care about them and you showing them how to do shit, they think you love them and all that type of shit. The person on the other end, which is the adult, can be on some weird creepy ass shit and be like, yeah, and thinking about like molesting or taking advantage of this little kid, whether it's a boy or girl. And I don't like this shit. Like, this was Dan Schneider's first show that he created. He came in Nickelodeon doing all that as a writer and producer, whatever. But the Amanda Show was the very, very first show that he created on his own. And Amanda made, it blew up, became a huge hit, and Amanda became a star, and it made him have say so and all that type of shit at Nickelodeon. So a lot of too many people didn't want to go against that, man, because they didn't want to lose their jobs or they didn't want to get in trouble and shit like that. But folks should have spoke out, bro. Like, ain't no telling what could have been changed. Ain't no telling what could have been fucking changed.
The law was that a parent or guardian had to be with us at all times.
Parents on all that, I would say they tried to stay out the way.
See, and I was just talking about that. I was like, bro, the parents had to be on the set. And what bro just said, he was like, they tried their best to stay out the way. Bro, I don't give no fuck if my kid the star of a show. If I have a son or a daughter and they on a TV show at Disney or something like that and they the star of the show and I see some weird shit going on, I'm speaking up every time. Because, like, bro, your kids depend on you to protect them. And it's your job as a parent to protect your kids from bullshit. Because we got to understand and we gotta come to the realization the world is ugly, bro. The world is ugly. Now I got pretty stuff on Earth, and like got nice people and shit on Earth, but everybody got a dark side to them. And these niggas in Hollywood and shit, all the type of shit, they got power and influence and shit. They will prey on your sons and daughters, especially when ain't nobody checking on, bro. Like, what the fuck? So we were talking about the kids. I'm gonna come back to what he was doing to those kids because it's just the first episode. We ain't even got into the other three. So right now, I'm finna switch forward to when there was some writers. I forgot their name. I remember one of the names was Christy Stratton. She was one of the writers. It was on 2 female writers on the Amanda Show. Christy Stratton, and I forgot the other name. So we from going to like the part of the episode where they were talking about how they was getting mistreated because they were women.
Female writers on the Amanda Show told us that this experience was really one of the most disturbing in their careers.
Working for Dan was like being in an abusive relationship. At the time, there weren't a lot of positions for women in sketch comedy. It was very hard to navigate when you knew the opportunities for women were fewer. You knew you were going in for the one
That's Christy Stratton just talking.
This was way back in 1999. There
That's
were
the other
forums
woman
where people would talk
that
about
wrote on the show.
writing, and it was in one of those groups, a television comedy writing group. Dan Schneider was in that group, and he had said that he was working on this new television show for Nickelodeon. So I just took a shot and I asked him if he would read my work. And the story that he told me later was that Dan gave them to his writer's assistant and said, read through these and rate them funniest on top. He was surprised to find that mine was on top, and that's what prompted him to call me. I was actually sitting at my desk at work.
And another thing, they end up, I forgot how exactly, but the 2 women writers didn't make it to season, like midway through season 2. Because it got to the point where they just couldn't take it anymore. Because the mistreatment was just so bad to the point where like they couldn't take it. And there's one part where they were talking about like Schneider was like being sexist and talking about women ain't being funny and all that type of shit. I'm gonna play that. Cause I think this is the part right here.
She's very easy to get along with. I mean, I liked her immediately.
She was nice and fun, and those early days were great. They were great. It was early on when we first started that Dan said he didn't think women were funny.
Yeah, this the part.
He said women can't write funny. He challenged us to name a funny female writer. And he said this to the writers in the writer's room. And that was my first indication of trouble, that maybe this guy didn't really value women in the writer's room. And later, he had said that, hey, do you mind that I refer to you and Christy as the girls? Are the girls in the room? Where are the girls? And we both were like, no. And he said, oh, good, because I can't stand girls that are uptight about things like that. And when he said that, I knew that Next time this guy asks me if I mind something, there's a right and wrong answer. And thank God I answered right.
See, not only did them what's this nigga sexist and shit like that, saying they weren't funny and all that type of shit, but then he referred to them as the girls and all that type of shit. Bruh, these folks seeing this shit, like, they ain't the only ones noticing this shit. But by Dan Schneider being so powerful at Nickelodeon, he was able to make or break your career. Like, he can make you a star. He can get you fired. Like, anything can happen. He could literally, like, degrade you in front of people and everything. It was like nothing you can do about it. And if you didn't like it, you could have left. That's like the only thing that could have been done, which is like straight up bullshit. So like it was like in the 1999, early 2000. So fast forward almost 30 years later, because it's 2024. So it's almost 30 years later. If you used to do that shit nowadays, bro, you'll instantly get called out on your shit and you'll be like up out of there. And it's for the best because, like, I know some women that's funnier than dude. No lie, because Raquel, even though she get on my nerves, like, she made me laugh all the time because she funny as hell. Not when she do her dad jokes, but like in general. And like I said, he was being sexist and all that type of shit. And not only was he being sexist, this nigga was a fucking pervert, like a creepy ass nigga. So I don't know if y'all know what a taint is. All right, so on an Amanda show, it was a character named Penelope Taint, my favorite character, because she used to always go around, Amanda, please. Like, she used to be my favorite character. But I never realized that her name had some bullshit behind it. So her name was Penelope Taint. And the taint, if you don't know, if I get graphic, the taint is like right there, like where your Gucci, like where your balls and your ass and shit, like your taint and shit, like for men and shit. That shit gay. But like, that's what that is. And her name was Penelope Taint. And he basically lied to the head honchos at Nickelodeon. Was like, nah, y'all making it something what it is. But he really like changed her name to that. He changed the spelling of it and was like, that's what it is. Oh, I'm gonna go to that part. I think this is right here.
The writer's room. He was there anytime we were doing any work. And he was very playful. We would laugh and joke around, and being dirty was part of the silliness.
Hello, citizens. My name is Penelope Taint.
So Penelope Taint is a character that Dan created.
My name is Penelope Taint.
Yeah, I know. He came up with the name Penelope Taint. The taint is the part of the body that's between the penis and the anus. Is that skin there? That's the taint. And Dan had said to us in the writer's room, don't tell what this word really means. He wanted us to keep that a secret.
I remember someone from Nickelodeon sitting with us and saying, like, oh, does this mean, you know, this dirty thing? And Dan was like, no. Why would you think that's like tainted, like you've tainted something? And they were like, okay. Man, that is power. That is power. That you can just say you want something and it's done.
And I explained what the tainted shit, right? I explained what the Gucci is, but like, that's neither here or there. But just the fact that this nigga created a character on the kids show with the word taint in it showed you what type of mindset that this nigga even got. Like, only a sick motherfucker would like come up with their name and be like, you know what, this would be one of the characters' name in my TV show that number kids watch. So you had motherfucking kids, niggas like me going around saying, man, Penelope Taint, that's my favorite character. Not even knowing what I'm saying, talking about the taint and shit. And that's not even all. That ain't even the only thing that might did. So as the documentary went forward, they went into details talking about how Dan used to have like send them like little messages to have them like say like little weird shit out loud, and if they didn't do it, he'll type it again in all capital letters, have them say it out loud to degrade themselves and shit like that.
It's funny.
He liked to play pranks and jokes, which at first seemed fun.
In the beginning, I would see, instant message pop up. Dan would send a message for you to say out loud, scream hammers, and you scream it. And then it would be, more degrading, like scream, I'm an idiot, or slut. And if you didn't, he would send you the message again, caps, exclamation points. He would scream out, say it, until you did.
So this man really had them folks, and then he was only doing it to the two women. There was writers. He was only doing it to the two women. So he'll send them messages telling them like, yell out, I'm a slut real loud. And if they don't do it, they get in trouble. Like it's shit like that. Like that shit so demeaning, fool. Like somebody should have been stopped this nigga 20 years ago. They should have been stopped this nigga 20 years ago, but they didn't. And that's why he felt like it was okay to keep doing what he was doing. Because when you got that much power and ain't nobody checking you, you feel like that you on top of the world and you can't be touched. Which the exact opposite. It always got to be somebody in control. Like even if I had my own business and it was global and all that type of stuff, even if it ain't a man that I myself report to that's a boss of me, my boss forever in my life will always be the Most High God. So I always have to do what he do. And he won't appreciate me doing kids and women and all this shit certain type of ways and shit. So it's always gonna be somebody over you, even though people might not believe in God and all that type of shit. I know what I believe. I know what's real. I know what's up. I'm gonna always have me a boss. His name, the Most High God, and that's who I report to. So we finna move forward. Like I said, I told you we're gonna come back to the kids. So this part of the documentary, it started talking about how Amanda and Dan Schneider was like getting real close and shit. And I thought I should point this out. Like before I go into this part, I should like point this out.
I remember Raquel saying to me she felt that he may have favored Drake and Amanda more than her.
I remember Dan and Amanda Bynes being very close on the Amanda show. And I think very few people made Dan laugh, you know, and I think she did. In rehearsal, she would say funny things and do funny things.
Yes, this is your doctor.
My doctor.
Yes, doctor.
I mean, damn.
I
post
definitely
that. Why
saw
she say this?
Amanda being very close physically with Dan. There were many times that I saw Amanda sitting behind him, hugging him, or giving him like a neck massage or whatever. Dan and Amanda.
Bruh, why is a little girl that ain't even a teenager at this point? I think she was like 12 or she was 13 or something by the time Amanda show came out, 12, 13, 14. Giving a grown man neck massages and hugging him from the back and all that type of shit. That ain't even her daddy. Like, even though her dad's a part in this documentary, we're talking about how involved Amanda's daddy was in her career. But he narcissistic too, and he ended up putting her under conservatorship and was spending her money and shit. But that's another topic for another day. But that relationship with Snyder and Amanda, that shit wasn't right. Because if you out in public right now, you go out in public, you see a big grown dude in his mid-30s, early 40s, big dude, and you see a 12-year-old girl just massaging his neck, and it ain't his daughter, and they real close, like they in a loving relationship. You gonna say something? You gonna be like, what the fuck going on? Like you gonna look at this shit like it's crazy.
Had a close relationship, and I didn't think anything different than that. The hot tub scene, though, I thought was always a little odd.
I am the executive producer and I'm the head writer.
You actually wrote the words you're saying to each other right now?
Yes, I am.
When you watch the video, it's Amanda Bynes, clearly very young, wearing a swimsuit in a hot tub, and next to her is Dan Schneider, fully clothed. And he's kind of saying, I created the situation. I am the reason we are in this hot tub. I am pulling the strings.
Now, since you're the executive producer of the show, can I have a raise?
No.
See, and so right now they showing a video where Amanda is a child. She like 12, 13, probably like 12, 13. And she's sitting in the hot tub with this nigga. And she got on a leotard, like a bathing suit, a one-piece bathing suit. And he's sitting beside her in the hot tub, fully clothed. He fully clothed in a hot tub with her. And looking creepy as hell. Just the fact that he even in that shit, doing that shit with her is just like fucking crazy, bro. Like, what the fuck? So, what is it? 29, 30. Okay. So, I think this is the right part. So we're gonna come back to Amanda again. Because I have some more stuff to say about her and the other kid when I get through, like, going through the key points of episode 1. We're gonna go back to the women. So I'm gonna go to 20. Wait a minute, 35. I think this the. I think this the. I'm trying to find the part. So basically, it's a part where the one of the female writers, what's her name, Christy, was told to act like she was getting sodomized. Let me see if this is it. Yeah.
About or standing up for yourself, would always present it like a joke. And in the studio,
All right, here we go.
Dan was showing pornography on his computer screen. He'd asked me several times to massage him in the writer's room and in the studio. And he would say things sometimes like, can please give me a massage? I'll put one of your sketches in the show. And he would always present it like a joke, you know, and he would be laughing while he said it.
Bullshit.
But you always felt like disagreeing with Dan or saying or standing up for yourself could result in you getting fired. One of the worst one was we were in the writer's room and Christy was talking about high school, which is relevant because we're writing for a young girl. And Dan was just said, you know, it'd be funny if you leaned over the table and acted like you were being sodomized and told that story about high school.
See, that's shit.
She said no at first, and then he was kind of like, oh, come on, it'd be so funny, just do it, it'd be so funny. And everyone's kind of laughing too, because he's making it like this big joke. She couldn't get out of it. You know, he's begging her. So she just leaned over the table and did what he asked her to do.
Do you remember Dan asking you to act out being sodomized?
I'd rather not. I'd rather not. I don't want to talk about that.
See, and the lady, she don't even want to relive it. I can't even imagine what she felt and what she was going through when she actually had to do that shit in front of a room full of men and one other woman, and she acts like she being sodomized while telling the fucking joke just for a kid show. I can't even imagine how she felt. I got nieces, I got sisters and shit, and I'd be mad, like I'd be ready to fucking, bruh. They can't come back and tell me no shit like that, bro. Like, nah, fool, I'd be ready to crash out, like, for real. And even if during that time period, even if she would have spoke out, wasn't nothing ever changed because of the hierarchy, how everything was at that time period.
I mean, it's not that I'm not proud of it, and I'm also like, ugh, thinking about it now. Yeah, it's like, oh boy, I just think of that poor girl and what she had to, go through. Yeah. And I would not do that today, but I did it then.
And it's fucked up that she even had to go through that shit. So we've been fast forward to the part, it's like the 37-minute mark, because the episode like 40-something minutes. So we've fast forward to like the 37-minute mark where like it get to the point where Christy finna get fired and all type of stuff and shit like that. And listen to the shit that this man, bro, just listen to how this man just react to shit and how he used to do shit, which is fucking crazy, bro. But that's the hierarchy, bro.
Our last week of work for season 1 of The Amanda Show. I had this meeting at my manager's office, and by the time I got in my car to go back to the office, I had been fired.
Dan basically owned all of your time, your weekends, after work. And Christy had done 2 personal things during the season. Like, she had gone to a concert on the weekend, and she had friends over one night. And she basically got fired for that.
It just felt very vindictive that that it was 3 more days of being paid. So I went back to temping, and I had nothing.
This lady really lost her job because she decided to take some time off.
I went down to the studio
on her off day to have friends at her house and go to a party or whatever she did. But the nigga didn't like that shit and fired her. That's like that's some bullshit. Discrimination is fine.
To meet with Dan about season 2. He said, here's the deal. We're bringing you back for season 2, staff writer. We're offering you a 16-week contract, but you need to work the whole season, which was, I believe, 27 weeks. He was telling me I had to work 11 weeks for free. And I was devastated because I'd proven myself. I'd written well. I had paid my dues. And he said, this is all the money that we have. Now, meanwhile, he hired a white male at full salary, no credits, first job. But he's asking me, second season on the same show, you have to work 11 weeks for free.
So when people asked him about is that really true, that nigga he denied. Dan Schneider, he declined all like factors into, like, he said he had no control over the salaries of writers and shit, which he still say to this day. Like, 'cause like I said, he did an interview a couple of days ago, 19 minutes. I watched it, but I'm gonna play in part 2 of next week episode. When I let y'all like get key points on the next episode.
I lasted 4 days in season 2. Dan gave us this assignment, asked all the male writers into his office and left me out. Then he called me in, and all the men were standing, and Dan was behind his desk, and he said, okay, pitch your idea. I pitched my idea, and he said, didn't you used to do phone sex? Just like that, like out of nowhere. I was like, no, Dan. He was like, didn't you say that last season that you used to have a job like that, something like that? No. I was destroyed. I went outside, I was crying, I can't do this. So I did. I went home and I quit. And it was so devastating. It was so hard to let go of that job. But I just couldn't do it anymore. There's no way I was going to be the only woman in that world with him. No way.
This might just out of the blue just ask this lady, did she used to do phone sex? Knowing she ain't never said no shit like that ever. Knowing she ain't never said she was a phone sex operator or none of that shit. But just out of the blue just say this shit. This nigga was a fucking menace, bro. That nigga was a fucking menace. And like I say, the reason this shit kept going, because he didn't have nobody to stop him. That's all it was. But see, what's done in the dark always come to light. Always come to light. And basically, all that shit that he kept hidden is coming out. People starting to speak out against that shit. Now, Christy and this lady, they sued Dan Schneider and Nickelodeon for gender discrimination and all that type of shit. Made Nickelodeon do an investigation, and instead of them taking it fully to court, they settled. They didn't never say the amount of money that they settled for, but they settled, which is basically meant guilt to me, because like shit, if your workplace environment ain't on that bullshit, I want to take it. But default know the type of environment that this nigga have his shows. Have for his shows and shit, for the actors, the parents, the writers, everybody. And it's like, bro, it's like you can't get away from this shit until now. So that was really the last part of that episode. So I'm gonna play the last little closing, because apparently his environment got worse, and then he made friends with somebody, and they end up like full on molesting kids and shit. But I'm gonna cover that in next week's episode of TND.
I knew that. I knew that this was the end of my career, so it had better be worth it. Like, it had better stop. And to learn that it didn't stop, that it was all for nothing.
The Amanda Show was Dan Schneider's first show, and he had a complaint against him for gender discrimination and creating a toxic workplace on his first big show that he did. So a lot of the seeds of the issues that we see throughout Dan Schneider's empire were there from the beginning.
How safe can any kids be in that environment if that's how the adult women are being treated behind the scenes? And on Dan's shows, there was always this kind of murkiness in what was appropriate and what was inappropriate.
I don't like this.
But there would be even bigger problems down the line with actual pedophiles on set.
Van Nuys Division officers have arrested this suspected child predator charged with kissing and touching a 9-year-old girl. But officers believe there may be more victims.
And that was the end of that episode. And bro, I'm watching this shit. And I'm like, bro, what the fuck is going on? So they really did let this man go unchecked and do whatever he want for 20 some years in Nickelodeon. I always say when it come down to sex trafficking, endangering kids, sexually molesting kids, mistreating women, sexual assault towards men, sexual assault towards anybody, bro. The people who commit this shit need to be put up under the jail or be put to death. That's how I feel about it. That's just how I feel about it. So, like gathering the information and watching that shit made me realize that, like, bro, people are fucking evil, bro. I been knew that, but I know that even more now. Like, people are fucking evil, bro. Like, what'll make you want to do shit like that? Like, I understand that women get mistreated. Okay, they was adults. I'm not saying it's okay for them to get mistreated the way they got mistreated. Okay, but when you fuck with kids don't know shit. They look to the adults to learn shit. That's why when people first born, they start turning to toddlers and babies and shit. When they able to move around, they start picking up shit and touching shit because they trying to learn what is what. They start putting shit in their mouth because they want to know what it tastes like because they think it's food. And for kids to be in an environment with nothing but adults and the people who they supposed to be trusting and being there for them and taking advantage of them, that shit need to be stopped. It need to be stopped immediately. But this is just part one because part two gonna be next week. We're gonna go over. I'm gonna watch both episodes throughout this week, and I'm gonna clip them and I'm gonna have them playing throughout like I did today, and we're gonna go over it. As always, like I said, for people who listen to this podcast and enjoy it, I appreciate y'all. For the new listeners, I appreciate you for taking your time out your day, your night, whatever time of day it is to listen to the Nerdvana Experience. The returning listeners, I appreciate y'all support. I appreciate y'all for holding the village down. Hit us up on all the socials at TNE Beyond. My Kick page, my Kick and Twitch page, TNE Ledesma. You know, just hit us up. Like, if there's anything that y'all want to talk about or have any topic and shit, hit us up on the socials and shit. We'll talk about it. Until then, peace.